Hi students, I'm Una.
And I'm Scott.
I'm a PTE teacher from the UK.
I'm also a PTE teacher from the UK.
And we've been helping students pass their exams for years.
And now we're excited to help you pass your exam too.
Welcome to the Swoosh English PTE podcast.
Let's get started.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another podcast here at Swoosh English. My name is Una.
And I'm Scott.
And today we are looking at the PTE academic exam. We're looking at the reading section in particular. We're going to look at multiple choice, multiple answer.
All right, so a lot to cover today in today's episode, Una. But how are you, first of all?
I'm good. How are you, Scott?
I am fantastic. I had quite a busy week with Swoosh English. How about yourself?
Yes, of course. We've lots to be getting into. New students, live lessons. It's all going great.
And it's been fun researching these podcast episodes as well.
Yes.
For the benefit of you guys taking the PTE examination.
Definitely. It's nice to sit down and have a conversation about some of these tasks.
A conversation, but no coffee, unfortunately. We'll keep
No
the coffee to the
today.
side. No one wants to see my coffee teeth, that's for sure. All right, so let's get into the podcast. Today we're talking about the reading test. We're looking at multiple choice, multiple answer. So where should we start with that task, you think?
So let's just look like we always do, Scott, in an overview of that task.
All right.
So for this task, there are usually 2 to 3 questions for multiple choice, multiple answer. So that's 2 to 3 that you have to do for the same item type. And it's usually up to 300 words. So the prompt, the length of the prompt is 300 words, sorry.
Yeah, so it is the length of the right essay style passage. So it is fairly lengthy. Just make sure your reading skills are up to standard for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is the longest amount of words that you can get in any text within the reading section.
Absolutely. No more than 300 words. Keep that in mind.
Okay, and how long do you recommend, Scott, then, that students should spend on this task?
Well, if you took every single task in the reading section of the examination in section 2 and you divide it by the amount of time you had, it does actually work out to be on average about 2 minutes per task. So as a general rule of thumb, spend 2 minutes on each task. You may, however, find that you're more efficient and quicker at some tasks and slower in others. So you are, of course, allowed to spend a bit more time on various tasks. But as I said, rule of thumb, 2 minutes per task. And that's a good amount of time for multiple choice, multiple answer.
Yes, definitely. It's a good length of time for this one. And with this one then, let's take a look now at how you were scored. Okay, so what's important about multiple choice, multiple answer?
Dare I say that dirty word when it comes to PTE? Negative marking.
Yes, negative marking for multiple choice and multiple answer in the reading section, okay? So what does that mean?
Negative marking essentially means that if you get an answer wrong, you won't get scored 0 for it, but instead you will actually get a minus score. So for multiple choice, multiple answer, it is one of only a few tasks in the PTE examination in which negative marking is there, but it is for this task. So you are given 1 point per each correct answer. However, if you get an answer wrong, then 1 point is taken away from you. So I recommend that you don't actually answer unless you are entirely sure. But we'll get into more about that when we reach the methods section.
Yes, but that is the case with negative marking tasks.
Yes.
A lot of the time throughout the PTE exam, we do recommend, that you have a guess. You might as well. There's no point in leaving a particular task empty. You might as well make a guess. But with the multiple choice, multiple answer and the negative marking, we don't want to risk it, okay? So even though this task, it does actually, require that you choose more than one answer, it's okay if you do only choose one. You're not going to lose marks just because you only choose one. So if you're not sure, just choose one.
Here's a hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
You have a question type prompt in this exam in which there are 3 potential answers. So say you only actually answered one. You weren't sure about the other answers. You thought, I'm not sure. I'm not going to risk it. I'm going to put down one answer. And that one answer was correct. You get 1 point out of 3, which isn't great, but also it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
Say, for example, you're also in a similar situation, not that confident with your example, and you answer, okay, I've got that correct answer, and I'll answer that one and that one. If those 2 other answers turn out to be wrong, then actually you will get 0 for this task. So as you can see, it's very risky answering a question when you're not entirely sure about it. You could actually end up getting less marks. So only answer if you are entirely sure about what the answer is.
Like you said, Scott, you do not want to neutralize your score for a task like this. Yes, so definitely consider that. But also, it's important to remember that you won't go below 0. It doesn't go into minus numbers or anything.
No.
No scores or marks are taken away from other tasks tasks, for example. So it will just be 0 for that particular question.
It's not that horrible. Don't
Yeah, it's
worry.
not that
I know
bad.
it's a little bit horrible, but it's not that horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. So essential takeaway from our scoring section is that you get 1 point for each correct answer. You get 0 marks for anything you don't answer, but you also get -1 for an incorrect answer.
Yeah, so don't make any guesses.
So negative marking, remember that horrible, horrible word. So we now look at the different types of questions that you would have for multiple choice, multiple answer. And I want to give us a little bit of a run through on what the different question types are.
Yes, so of course you can see similar questions to like multiple choice, single answer. So, it will be a lot of the time for multiple choice, multiple answer, it's true or false information. So, which of the following statements are true according to the text, which of the following statements are false. And then it can be a very specific question based on something within the topic of that text. So basically having to find out supporting details or find out information based on what's in that text.
So just to differentiate between what Una just said, some actually might just be a general question. Which of the following statements in the text are true? Which are false? However, there might be something within the text which is referred to in the question prompt, and then they might ask which of the following blah, 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 blah in the text has been supported or not supported, for example.
Asking for specific information based on that text alone and your reading.
And of course, that actually does require, if you are looking at specific text, and you have to really understand what that question prompt is saying. What is it alluding to in the text that is true or false? So you have to be more wary than, for example, a general true or false style question in which you just have to do your general reading.
Yes.
What other question types are there?
Perhaps what can be concluded. And what can be concluded, again, it's often very similar to true or false, really, because, you're looking at the information and taking that information, saying, what does it conclude? Okay. And also implied. What can be implied? And any writer's purpose or attitude, perhaps.
Right. So the writer's purpose might also be expressed. Opinions might be expressed throughout the text. Up to you then to look at language which suggests opinion, and it could appear throughout the text as well. So find that opinionative language and see if any of the answer options actually correlate with that overall.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
So those are the different question types that we have. Okay.
Yes. That's basically a run through the different question types. Yeah.
Hi all. We're going to grab a quick cup of coffee. While we're gone, go to pte.swooshenglish.com and grab your free PTE starter course. A gift to get you started on your PTE preparation. That's pte.swooshenglish.com for your free PTE starter course. Okay, so what about then? Or shall we get straight into the methods?
Let's get into the methods. So now you have an understanding, obviously, what the task is, how you're scored, as well as different types of questions you have. We're now going to run through the method of this task, and it is obviously pretty systematic from the very beginning until the very end. So you have 2 minutes for each task. The first thing that you should do is you should not skim over the text. Ignore that text. I know it's there, 300 words waiting to be read. Just hold off.
I know you just can't wait to get into it.
Don't do it. Please just don't do it. Go straight into the question and skim that question. Why should we skim that question?
Well, if you start reading that text, well, that's great. You're going to start looking into the topic and everything, but you aren't reading it in particular for what you're being asked to do for that task. You have ignored that question and you don't know exactly what kind of information, what way you're supposed to approach this question.
You're not reading for any specific purpose at all. Don't forget, this is not leisurely reading. You only have 2 minutes to complete everything, and that includes your reading time.
Yes.
So you should be reading for a purpose, which is why you get straight into that question. You analyze what that question is asking you to do, and then you should skim and scan the answer options and highlighting your keywords.
Yes, that's very important. Like you said, Scott, read for a purpose. So yes, look at that question and then look at your answer options. Yeah, you can look at the keywords. What keywords are jumping out at you? That will give you a good idea as well of the topic of the text that you're going to start reading.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the time when we look at the topic, we look at those keywords, all these different words and vocabulary are going to start flooding into our head, the kind of words that you expect to find in the text.
So while you're analyzing that question, you should be actually looking at a few things. One, what is the question word? Is it a what? Is it a where? Is it a which, for example? These are pretty specific because it's looking for specific information. You can actually just make your whole prompt flow and method a lot more streamlined, a lot more efficient that way. And also make sure that you are aware, is it a true, false question? Is it a supported, not supported question? Is it a writer's purpose question? Is it a main idea question? So therefore you also can just make your method a lot more streamlined in terms of the information that you're looking for.
Definitely.
So we talked there about keywords in a question. What do we mean by keywords?
So the keywords are usually those content words. So the words that really bring the information into the sentence and they provided its meaning. So, keywords a lot of the time were things like nouns, verbs, even adjectives.
And adverbs as well.
Yeah, adverbs. So these kind of words that jump out of us. We can really ignore like articles, prepositions, adverbs of frequency, maybe words like this.
Yeah, sometimes we can actually look at words like quantifiers or some sort of modals because they give specific information referring to something, so they can be important as well. But you're looking for the words which convey the most information in a sentence. And also, just to expand upon nouns, you could be looking for a variety of nouns. Nouns are probably the most important words we're looking for.
Yeah.
They are obviously the most common word type in the English language, and most languages, I'm sure. But we, of course, have our names, we have our dates, we have our events, we have our places. Look for those. And when you're looking for them, what should you do? Just take a mental note of them and move on? Or should we do something with that information that we are analyzing?
So when you find the keywords, you're of course going to be looking for those words again when you go over to the text. Okay, so keep those words in mind. And when you go over to the text, you want these words to jump out at you. And then can you just take these at face value? Can you look at those words and think, oh, there's that word. It was in the answer. No, it's in the text.
No.
Right answer?
No, you can't, because when obviously you've analyzed your question, you've got your keywords, and then you begin your reading. Once again, you're not necessarily reading the whole text. You're trying to skim and scan and extract the information. But you're going to start looking through your passage and try and find those keywords. You're not necessarily going to find the keywords in the form that they are in the question. That might be a bit too easy. Some of the words have been reformulated, or else they've been paraphrased.
Yeah, or even you might see the word, but the information around it is different. Okay, so you can't, say, oh, definitely, that word's there, and conclude straight away on your answers. You need to make sure that you read around them and that you are actually backing up the key points. And that's very important. Back up the key points, not just the keywords, okay? And yes, like you said, Scott, a lot of the time, there's these distractor kind of options where the word is mentioned, but it's in a synonym form throughout the text or paraphrased. Yeah.
So those distractors are very, very important. For example, you might see something in a question type, which is the best English language college in the world? An answer might be Swoosh English. But then you actually read the passage itself, and it's actually said, Swoosh English is the most fantastic place to learn English in the world. The words are not the same, but have they been paraphrased and reformulated? So therefore, you have to read around and make sure that your usage of your vocabulary and your academic knowledge is quite flexible, just so you understand exactly what's being meant. And also a good point there about your distractors. There might be something that mentions a certain idea in one of the answer options. You go read, and then you actually see it, but then something else might happen in the next sentence which completely contradicts it. So therefore, we recommend you don't just read around, of course, the one sentence you find that information. Also read in surrounding sentences as well, in case you find information which completely contradicts what you thought was the main answer.
Very good. Okay, so we analyzed our question. We had a look at the answer options and picked out the keywords that we could look for.
You then correlate those answer options, have a look at the find the text, find the reference text in the passage, and then go over to your questions. Have a look and see, does the language correlate? Does it back up? Does it not back up? Is it a match? If you think it's a match and you found that evidence in the passage, mark it down as a correct answer. But once again, only if you're completely sure. If you're not, move on to the next question and repeat the process again.
Very good. So you can start to select your answers. And I think something that's very important for multiple choice, multiple answer as well, is to make sure that once you have, so you say you have chosen your answer, okay, and you feel like you're confident about that, but try and leave yourself time to make sure that you actually have eliminated all the answers.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So find reasons in that text that really back up why you've chosen an answer and why you have not selected an answer.
Precisely. Okay? So the way of doing that is you should actually be doing everything at the same time. You should be going through, say, for example, you have 5 different answer options, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or A, B, C, D, and E. Start with A, start reading through. If you found the evidence, what does that evidence suggest? Does it back it up? Does it not? Is it a correct answer or not? Tick that if you think it's correct, or mark it. Then move on to B. For example, you may find something in B which contradicts it. Then you can X that out and realize that is definitely not a correct answer. Therefore, I can safely eliminate that. And why is it important to also safely eliminate answers at the same time as finding your correct answers?
So, can you confirm?
So you are reading through the passages and you are simultaneously finding the correct answers as well as eliminating the incorrect answers. Why is that important for this task?
So, of course, you just want to make sure that you are confident that you have selected the correct answer.
Exactly.
You want to make sure, because of the negative marking, that you are really confident about what you have chosen in this task.
Precisely. Once again, you need to ensure that you are getting the full marks possible and not risking getting any of those minus marks. So you want to be completely certain that the answers are correct or false. So make sure that you manage your time correctly to go through all the answer options and answer them.
Yeah.
Just that you're completely certain, because if you're not, then you could actually risk having negative marking.
Exactly. You want to be confident in this kind of task.
A bit of a really risky gamble. Okay.
Okay, so what about time management then? Yes, well, we want to make sure that we really try and stick to that time limit, because I think with multiple choice, multiple answer, it would be easy because you want to confirm or deny every answer option. It would be easy to go over the time there. So it's really important to make sure that you do this task at home under timed conditions.
Exactly. So if you're doing any PTE practice papers in terms of these prompts, then try and time yourself for 2 minutes maximum. Take a little bit longer if need be, maybe a maximum of 3 minutes, but I do think that's kind of pushing
long,
it.
Yeah.
It depends on your own ability. Maybe 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes would be ideal. Time yourself doing these tasks and make sure that not only are you getting it completed thoroughly in that manner, but you're actually doing it efficiently as well. You want to ensure that you are ultimately able to read all the answer options within the 2 minutes and ascertain or deny your answers. And that's what I would call great efficiency, because don't forget, in this test, you are responsible primarily for flicking through the tasks, clicking the next button and moving to the next multiple choice, multiple answer prompt, or onto the next question type entirely. It's not going to be running on automatic for you. So you have to make sure that you are on top of the time management aspect. So use that clock, practice the time conditions, and just make sure you're getting down to it in time.
That is very important to note about reading, how it is up to you. You could easily get carried away with the first 3 tasks and then leave yourself at the end with your last couple of tasks being like, oh no, I'm really rushing here, and you're going to really lose marks if you're under that kind of stress. So yeah, make sure that you get lots of practice with your timing with the tasks before you go to that PTE exam.
Yeah. And just make sure you do a lot of them as well, because you might get lucky with one text that you find easy. Maybe you find the passage quite easy to understand and answer. Then you find a completely different academic topic and you're completely stumped thinking about, for example, a different set of academic language, and maybe your speed gets down. So make sure that your studying is varied as well.
Yes.
Very important.
Very good. So how can we really improve for this reading task, reading multiple choice, multiple answer?
I'm going to say it again because this might seem like very obvious knowledge, but in my time teaching English, not obviously just in PTE, but in IELTS, etc. as well, don't start reading the text. Please don't start reading the text. If you don't do it, fantastic. I'm very happy for you. If you are doing it, I tell you one more time, don't do it. It's such an easy way for you to make your time a lot more efficient. You don't have time to be reading for any general purpose. This is not a novel that you're reading on the weekend, for example, about whatever academic subject you're doing. You're reading for a specific purpose under time conditions. So get into the habit of reading those questions first, analyzing it, having an understanding of what you have to do, and then reading, skimming and scanning to extract that key information.
Yeah, it is so easy, isn't it? It's so tempting to go straight in and see that text and go, oh, I'm going to read this first, and then I can answer the question, look at the question, sorry. And, you get so carried away if you look at that text.
I think it comes from like a panic perspective. I think students want to have an understanding. They want to ensure they get the answers they need from having a thorough understanding of it, but unfortunately that's just not going to happen. Train yourself to go in kind of blindly and just be confident in your own abilities that this method works if you extract and utilize your time effectively.
Definitely. Very good. And then what can we do, that's obviously in relation to multiple choice, multiple answer, but what can we do to really improve our reading skills? What kind of tasks can we do at home?
Well, obviously outside of doing actual PTE, specific PTE examination, which all the questions are there, you can do something very easy to practice a few different question types. Find any sort of academic text. It doesn't even have to be academic, but the more academic, the better. Maybe an interesting topic that you find. Read the paragraph and think to yourself, what was that paragraph trying to say? How could I summarize that paragraph in a short sentence or two? Was there any opinions that are being divulged? What was the writer's opinion? That's a very good way of managing to practice your own different types of question types, but also do your own different practice in your own time that isn't actually, doesn't require you doing any specific PTE training.
Very good. So it's actually asking yourself those questions and using every reading text that you come across, whether it be when you're, on the way to work or you're on public transport, simply, ask yourself those questions. What was the writer's main point that he was trying to make?
What was the gist of this text? What were the main points? What was the writer's opinion? What was the writer's resolve?
Yes.
What implications can be made? How can I make an assumption based on that?
What were the writer's goals? Did he want to criticize? Did he simply want to highlight a point? Did he want to describe something? Did he want to explain something? Ask yourself these questions.
And not only is that actually a useful exercise for multiple choice, multiple answer, but that's also useful for a variety of different PTE texts. Useful for summarized written text, useful for write essay, be also useful for retail lecture, etc. as well, in which you're just able to summarize a text or a recording in a different listening exercise and then utilize that in a nice, efficient way.
Yeah, summarizing is really important. Being able to summarize, highlight the main points and then narrow it down and, say it in fewer words back to someone that's really important. Yes, and obviously just expanding your vocabulary. That's so important. So for something like reading a multiple choice, multiple answer, if you look at those answers and, the answers, you're not sure of the words. Well, that's going to be a really big problem. If you're not sure of the words and you really can't understand that sentence, how are you going to confirm or deny it?
Precisely.
Okay, so make sure that any words you do know at the end of the day, you don't know, at the end of the day, if you don't know them, don't panic. At that stage, you're in the exam, what can you do? Okay, so the main thing to do is try to understand the meaning of the words because of their context. So within that sentence, are you able to decipher what the word means within the sentence? Yes, but you need to just really work on building up your vocabulary. And also when you're reading, taking down the notes of words that you don't know that are new, taking down the definition, and even better, writing down a number of synonyms as well alongside it to really help you build up your bank of vocabulary.
Great advice, Una. I can't actually add anything to that at all. Fantastic. All right. Well, that's pretty much multiple choice, multiple answer for the reading section covered. It's been fun today giving you some advice. So please take all that on board. You'll find it very, very useful. And we'll see you next time for the next podcast episode with Swoosh English.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Are you struggling with your PTE exam preparation? Are you unsure how to get that score of 65, 79, or even 90? Let us help you get there. Please go to pte.swooshenglish.com and enter discount code PTE10 in order to receive 10% discount on any course.